Welcome back. If you're tuning in, you're ready for another deep dive.
That's right.
Today, we're really digging into how groups work, why some connect, why some just don't.
Yeah. And we're using Seth Godin's work on tribes as our main source here.
Exactly. Our goal, as always, is to pull out those core ideas for you, get you up to speed quickly on this really powerful
It's
concept.
about understanding group dynamics, essentially.
Yeah, why some groups just click and, well, thrive.
Okay, so Godin's definition, he's pretty clear, isn't he?
He is. It's not just any group of people.
No, it's a group that's connected,
To each other.
right?
Uh-huh.
And to a leader, or maybe multiple leaders.
And critically, to
No,
an idea, something that brings them together. But he boils it down even further, doesn't he? To two real basics.
he does. Two fundamental things you absolutely need. First, a shared interest, the spark.
The reason they're even associating in the first place.
Exactly. And second, and this is crucial, a way to communicate, a way to talk to each other.
Okay, so right off the bat, it's different from, say, people waiting for a bus.
Totally different. There's an actual connection there.
A structure.
It's like a three-way link.
Yeah, you could put it that way.
Yeah.
You've got the member-to-member connection, that feeling of us.
Belonging.
Right. Then there's the connection to the leader who provides that focus, that direction.
And the third.
The connection to the idea, the shared belief or goal.
But none of that happens without those two prerequisites you mentioned.
Nope.
Got to have the shared interest, got to have the communication channel. Otherwise, it just doesn't become a tribe.
And that leader role seems pretty central to his thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Godin really emphasizes that. A tribe needs a leader to, actually become a tribe and then to grow and change.
And the leader needs the tribe too, presumably.
Exactly. It's symbiotic. He talks about this human drive we all have for connection, yeah, but also for growth, for something new. Yeah. Progress and leaders, whether it's just one person or maybe a few, they're the ones who ignite that. They channel that energy.
It feels very primal almost, this need to find your group.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
That need to belong. Godin argues it's basically a survival mechanism.
Makes sense. Historically, safety in numbers, right?
Definitely. Shared resources, protection.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, we usually belong to lots of different tribes, don't we?
Yeah, work, hobbies, community groups.
Right. Each one fulfilling maybe a slightly different aspect of that need.
So if you're a leader, how do you actually use that need to, well, make things happen, to create change?
Ah, well, this is where he brings in the heretics.
Heretics, that
Yeah.
sounds provocative.
It is. But he means it in a positive way. These are the leaders who aren't afraid to say, hey, maybe there's a better way.
It's a status quo challenger.
Exactly. They step up to create a movement. For Godin, leadership isn't about keeping things the same. It's about initiating change. Change you really believe in.
So it's active. It's disruptive in a way.
Very much so. And he draws a distinction here between leading a tribe and, say, marketing to a crowd.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, marketing to a crowd is often just broadcasting, right? Shouting into the void, almost. A crowd. It doesn't have that internal connection.
No leader pulling them together, no way for them to easily talk amongst themselves.
Precisely. So smart leaders, smart organizations,
Hmm.
they focus on building tribes, not just reaching crowds.
How does a leader do that? Take that shared interest and turn it into more.
They transform it, turn that shared interest into a shared passion, a goal, a desire for something different.
And
Then they give the tribe the tools, the communication methods. They help it grow, help it connect more deeply.
this sounds a bit like what Senator Bill Bradley said about movements. Didn't he have three things?
Yeah, it lines perfectly.
Yeah.
Bradley talked about needing, one, a narrative, a story.
About who we are, where we're going.
Right. Two, that connection. Leader to members, members to each other. Really strong bonds. And three, something to do. An action people can take. Preferably something easy to get involved with. Low barriers.
So story, connection, action, that really does sound like building a tribe.
It does. It shows how you go from just shared interest to focused action.
And it seems like belief is just non-negotiable here. The leader has to really buy in.
Oh, massively.
Mm-hmm.
Godin is blunt about it. Believing in what you're doing. That's not just nice, it's a powerful strategy.
People can tell if you're faking it.
Absolutely. That authenticity, that conviction, it's magnetic. And he also stresses generosity. Leading from a place of giving, not taking.
That builds trust.
It does. Selfish leaders, he argues, just don't build tribes that last or have real impact. Authenticity wins.
Okay, now, he uses this phrase, making a ruckus. I like that. What does he mean by it?
Huh, yeah. It's memorable. It ties right back to challenging the status quo. Making a ruckus means you're not just blending in.
You're shaking things up, getting noticed.
Exactly. You're creating something
Mm.
remarkable,
Mm-hmm.
something people remark on. If you're just playing it safe, maintaining things, you're probably invisible.
Comfort equals invisibility. Interesting.
Yeah. And he makes this point that often it's not even the best idea that wins.
Oh, what wins then?
The idea with the most fearless champion. The leader who's willing to stand up and, well, make that ruckus for it.
But that's scary for a lot of people. Making noise invites criticism.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And Godin dives right into that fear. He says it's often not failure itself we fear.
What then?
The blame, the criticism that might come with failure. Or even with success sometimes.
Right. So we play it small to avoid the potential backlash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he flips it. He suggests maybe criticism is actually a good sign,
A good sign.
like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
It means you did something that broke expectations, something worth talking about,
Yeah.
even if some people don't like it.
That's a very different way to look at it. So when you feel that fear kicking in,
Right.
what should you ask yourself?
He suggests two things. First, if the criticism comes, what's the actual measurable impact? Seriously, will it really hurt you?
Often, probably not as much as we imagine.
Right. And second, he asks, kind of cheekily, are you going to lose your job? Are you going to get physically hurt? Usually the answer is no.
So manage the fear by assessing the real risk.
Yeah. And then he challenges you to think, how can I make something that critics will criticize? Because that means you're probably onto something significant.
Wow. Okay. So leaders make a ruckus, face criticism. What else? Where should their focus be?
Squarely on the tribe. Great leaders, he says, pour their energy into their people.
Not necessarily seeking the spotlight for themselves.
They might get attention, but they use it strategically. They use it to bring the tribe together, reinforce the mission. It's not about ego.
It's about the U.S., not the me.
Exactly. And a big part of that is what he calls tightening the tribe
Tightening. How do you do that?
by improving communication, making it faster, clearer, more emotionally resonant.
Better connections, better flow of information and feeling.
Uh-huh. A tribe that communicates well, internally, is a tribe that thrives. Simple as that, really.
And this all requires initiative, doesn't it? You can't lead from the sidelines.
No way. He points out leadership is rare, partly because it's uncomfortable. You have to step up.
Doing nothing is easy, but
But it never works. It guarantees you stay put. And don't try to appeal to everyone, he warns. Focus on your tribe.
quality over quantity.
Right. And when it comes to making change,
Hmm.
sometimes you just have to act. He has that famous line about asking for forgiveness rather than permission.
That takes guts. It implies risk.
It does. But waiting for everyone to agree can mean waiting forever. Paralysis.
Okay. And linked to initiative. Giving versus getting.
Yeah, he emphasizes that leaders who focus on giving value to their tribe are way more productive, more influential than those just thinking about what they get out of it,
It builds that loyalty and impact.
for sure. And he contrasts different modes, reacting, responding, and initiating,
Initiating being the hardest.
by far. But also the most powerful, being the one who starts things, not just answers the call.
No. Sheep walking. What's that about? Sounds a bit grim.
It is a bit grim. It's his term for what happens when companies hire for obedience, put people in boring jobs, and use just enough fear to keep them in line.
People just following the path, not thinking, not engaging.
Exactly. And he really urges people listening, urges you to reject that, to claim the career you deserve by not just following, by taking initiative in your own life and career,
Yeah.
by leading yourself, essentially.
So it's personal leadership too, not just leading groups.
Absolutely. It ties into this idea of building a life you don't constantly need a vacation from.
Invest in your actual life, not just the escape hatches.
Right. And that involves growth, being willing to be,
Right.
well, not great sometimes, on the way to something bigger.
That willingness to stumble, to fail even as part of the process.
Yeah, he suggests that's often a secret weapon for successful people. They're willing to learn through doing, even if it's messy.
And how does the tribe itself grow? How does it spread?
Primarily, he says, by bringing in new members, recruiting people who connect with the idea, with the story.
That's how ideas spread too, right? Person to person within the tribe and then outwards.
Exactly. And he notes that commitment inside the tribe often has to come before you see the big wins.
You can't wait for proof of success before you commit.
Yep. The early members, the leader,
Mm.
they have to believe first. The leader's job is often just sticking with it long enough for the critics to quiet down or maybe even come around.
It really sounds like it all comes down to connection and and care.
That's a huge part of it. Caring. He says that's the central emotion. Members care about the goals and they care about each other.
And the leader's role, fundamentally.
To tell the story. Provide that compelling narrative about the future, about the change they're making together. A story that resonates, that inspires action, that makes people feel they belong.
Wow. Okay. A lot to absorb there, but incredibly insightful. So, summing up, a tribe isn't just people. It's connection, shared interest, leadership, an idea, communication. That's the formula.
Uh-huh. And leaders. They tap into that belonging need, they challenge things, they make a ruckus, they're authentic, focused on the tribe, willing to face heat, and they initiate.
Right. They build communication, foster care, and tell that powerful story. It's about belief and commitment, even before the guaranteed win.
Couldn't have said it better. It's a powerful framework for understanding groups.
Definitely. So the question for you listening is, what tribes are you part of? Think about them. Who leads? What's the core idea?
Yeah, and maybe more importantly, what change do you want to see? Where could you step up? Could you apply these ideas, connection, communication, story, to make something happen?
What kind of ruckus are you ready to make? Something to definitely chew on.